us, which was even better. So when Gaiaville started, was 2008, 2009, 2010. We did 3 Gaiaville Inception Conference. I invited these incredible luminaries in the various 6 projects that were Gaiaville: architecture, power generation, education in the arts, agriculture, food production, commerce and economy, and
health and wellness.
Health and wellness. Okay, so we had all of these experts, and every one of them would come and present the idea and the concept, and everyone would be stimulated, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And what ended up happening? A year would go by. Everybody decided, subcommittee, we were going to do this, and all of these grand plans. Maybe after that, there were 2 meetings or 3 at the most, and nothing else happened. And then next year, we started the same thing again. Everybody, y'all fired up. We're going to change the planet. We're going to do this. We're going to sustainable existence, sustainable living. Let's do this. And exactly by the 3rd time, I was like, okay, this is not happening. So we need to have monthly meeting because that's the only way I can maintain this. What I also realized is that it was too much because it was only a small group of about 10 people that were invested in this. And it was too much, and there were too many ideas that 6 projects could be, that 10 people would have to switch hat and steer 6 separate projects. So I decided we were going to work on 1, possibly 2, to initiate what needs to be initiated. What I have learned in this process is that not everyone is as fast as I am. Very humbling. Very humbling. You know, and what it taught me is that I have to allow for other people's own timing to evolve and grow. Moreover, what I have learned as well is that unless we all sit at the table and we all come up with our own idea, and it's not, trust me, I have a Shweta who was doing the Ayurvedic presentation last month.
Yes.
She's known me for a very long time. She had not been at a few Gaiaville meetings for several months now. She was in India for a while and all that. And then she came back and she saw the way I was behaving. She said, and we met privately. She was saying to me, Pierre, I have to say kudos to you and for growth. I said, what do you mean? She said, I know your personality. And to watch you sit at the table and say absolutely nothing and let everybody come up with their own idea, that's very hard for you. And it is, but I know if it doesn't grow from the ground, if people don't have their own idea be incorporated in what this development looks like, they will not be vested into this, and they will, in fact, they will walk away. And so it's important for me that we all allow space for this growth and organic growth.
Yes.
And you know, the funny thing about this is that what I realize is that to some who are becoming new to the group, and I have to tell you, some of my experts originally as well, many of them walked away because they thought it was too slow. But it's not too slow, because if you're going to allow people, and again, as I said, not everybody is as fast as we are. So you have to allow people to catch up at their own speed. Some people are going to be impatient and they're going to walk away. I had this situation more recently with somebody who was really had a lot of organizational skills, and it's clear that this person feels that things are not moving faster. And it is what it is. You know, I can't accelerate the process for your benefit, because this person has the agenda, and the agenda is this person was expecting to make a certain amount of revenue from the project. You understand? And if you're looking for this and you can't, and I can't deliver it, I'm not going to force and create an artifice and try to choke people with a solution set that has not organically grown when everybody else is not at that page. So it's a lesson in humility. It's a lesson also in compassion in my part.
Yes.
Because if we're talking about sustainable living, and we're talking also about interdependence, we have to realize we are all co-creating with each other.
Well, of course, and Pierre, no matter how pure and no matter how compassionate your vision may be, if you have to fit people into it, then what's the difference? You're indoctrinating them. In order for, I mean, how is group work really different than individual work in terms of manifestation? If I look at everything in my 3D reality as an outpicturing of what's going on inside of me as an individual, then if I'm working with a group and I'm seeing things within that group dynamic, how can I disassociate my inner self from what I'm manifesting in that experience? So I think that it's a great opportunity if people are coming at it from that point of view to say, you know, hey, could I have a sidebar with you? I'm feeling some tension rising between the two of us. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to explore and learn from that, what is really going on here, right? Mm-hmm. To me, that would be the ideal. I made a mistake and I put a pot of chili on right before the call. And if I don't stir it, okay, it's going to be icky on the bottom. So, and hi, Janice, and Pierre, you can welcome Janice, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi there. Hi, Pierre.
How are you?
Good. I'm sorry. It took me a little while to find which email program had the link to the Zoom meeting for today, but I got there.
Yeah. Diane and I were talking about just now, as you can tell, was about to stir it.
Sorry to be so rude.
No, it's okay. You got to do what you have to do.
Okay.
Anyway. No. But, you know, the fascinating thing about this is that everyone comes to this project with personal agendas. We all have expectations, and our expectations are different. And this is the reason why I want people to sit at the table or online to talk about this. Mm-hmm. Because in the talking about this, all issues come up. Okay? And when someone else mentions something, we feel irked by, well, that's not the vision I have, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, but it's in the friction against each other that we get polished. Yes. Okay?
I agree.
As things are happening in your rubbing, and we learned this, there were meetings where there were literally blowout. And I'm not talking about, you know, people having sidebar conversation. I'm talking full blowout. Uh-huh. And it's okay. And I'm sitting there, I'm playing the mediator, I'm just stepping back and going like, okay, whatever it is, it has to happen, because that's the only. And, you know, Diane, one of the things that happened is that I've been doing group work since I was 17 years old. So in a lot of ways, I'm an old horse at this thing. You know, it's been a while, and there are moments where, in fact, the dynamics of the group is so powerful. I have walked away, meaning so toxic that I have walked away. Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing as somebody's trying to lead this is to figure out a way, if there is conflict, to find conflict resolution so that the group dynamic will remain.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and you know, it's interesting that you bring that up, because a couple of years ago, Solidia and I had gone through this Be Peace training with Rita Marie Johnson. Yep. And Janice. Hi, Janice.
Hi, Diane.
I don't know if you're familiar at all with it, but it's the easiest way to explain it is a process that combines nonviolent communication and heart math to help people in their relationships to be able to have honesty and empathy and I would say conflict resolution, but when you learn the techniques and you're using them, then you don't really have a need for conflict resolution. And it's that the way they do it is like a 4-day intensive, so it's 4 8-hour days that you go through the training. And you do a lot of breakout sessions with small groups, 4 people in the group. And so at the end of the time together, you really are interacting according to this methodology, which is really very simple to learn. And after coming out of that, I just realized that I only want to work with people who are working with each other like this, because we can do this. We can do this. And I found it to be very empowering and just really awesome. And so any work that I do with a group, like with Peace Growers, a part of it is that I want everyone who's coming on board to understand what the peace part of Peace Growers is. And that is that peace starts with us, and we have to have peaceful practices within our organizations in order to really not just accomplish our goals, but to be the kind of people that we want to be accomplishing those goals. Because, most of us have had the experience of a corporate background, and we know how we can accomplish our goals. We can step on people, we can, use tactics, we can, and not all that stuff is unethical. Some of that stuff is completely ethical, but is it really the higher level that we're aspiring to? So I totally partner with you, Pierre. We have to have a framework for our interpersonal relationships so that everybody can really be supported to bring their best self to the project. That's what sometimes doesn't happen. You get involved with someone and you see all of their positive qualities, and they've got the background and they've got the vision. But then when it comes time to really start working together, the old stuff crops up. Mm-hmm. Ego and bad habits sometimes, just bad habits in terms of relating.
Yep, absolutely. The old pattern steps in, and moreover, you can also have the thing that I realize as well is that if you're if you have high empathy, and you also have high degree of emotional intelligence, and this is the reason why I'm teaching the emotional intelligence class, is to empower people to have that skill set, so that you can actually communicate in a better way. You can relate with empathy. You can actually pick up what's in the room where sometimes people are feeling uncomfortable, and with a few signs you can begin to feel something is irking them. And you should be able to approach them and say, I apologize, I didn't mean to cut you off to do this. By the way, speaking of which, Janice.
Yes.
I want to apologize to you.
For me?
Yes, for having cut you off during the last Gaiaville meeting we had on Thursday. I realized you were going to make a statement, and I thought I was reading your mind, but you were going somewhere else. So I apologize for cutting you off. Okay.
Oh, well, you probably said it better than I would have anyway.
No. That's not the point. The point is that you were going somewhere else. Because of my degree of empathy, I thought I'm reading her mind, and I was a little bit too over enthusiastic, but I cut you off. I should have simmered down and allowed you to speak, so I'm apologizing for that.
Well, please, thank you for your apology, but there's no need. It sometimes takes me longer to get my words out than I would like, to express my thoughts. My brain sometimes doesn't move fast enough, and I get frustrated with myself. If you caught any frustration, mainly it's me.
Oh, I love you, Janice. Okay, I apologize for that. Anyway, so the funny thing about this is that I'm realizing that because of that high level of emotional intelligence, there are times I pick up upon things that people are not even conscious of or aware of, particularly for the one that are not as emotionally intelligent as I am, or as we may be. If I'm going to have a meeting or private meeting, or it could be regarding a certain topic, and the moment I enter into a meeting, my heart begins to pound rapidly, or all of a sudden my heart drops. Something is wrong. The person is hiding something. Okay? Mm-hmm. I have to trust what my instinct is telling me. There is untruth. Whatever the purpose of the meeting is, it's a camouflage. something else is happening behind it. And this is what I have to learn to honor and to trust, because my instinct, that first impression, it's never wrong. It's the second impression that's always wrong. So I have to trust that and realize whatever this person is saying, they're not telling me the truth. And sometimes they are hiding it to themselves. They have a different agenda. So that's what I'm learning how to do, is to try and learning how to communicate. This morning I had a class, and I'm going to talk today later on in my other class, my class on neutrality, about this. It's how do you learn to, how do you share? People keep thinking about vulnerability as a weakness. People keep to think, and particularly when you're working with a group, people keep thinking, and particularly when you are leading a group. My personal experience is that if I share an intimate and fragile point of myself and help you understand how I overcame it with honesty and with authenticity, you will learn more. Because no one really is going to learn by what you say. People are going to mirror what you do. That's the bottom line. This is the way children learn. It doesn't matter how well they're educated, it's what the environment around them is doing, that's what they're going to mirror. So if I'm mirroring something by sharing with you a very intimate struggle that I had, that I almost unraveled because of this, but somehow Spirit gave me the intuitive knowledge and I was able to master it and I was able to overcome it. If I share that with you, people will realize that you're meeting them at their level. In other words, the more elevated you are in terms of idealism, either for the group, the community you're trying to create, you set all the rules. We're going to be this. We're going to be sustainable by so many %, and we're going to have this, and all of these great ideas that you're espousing to, right? But if indeed, in the process of you presenting these very highfalutin and high level goals, you're not showing your humanity, no one will be able to reach that level. In fact, they're going to be intimidated by this high plateau. What I have found is that if I am able to communicate at a level by telling people what my struggles were, because we all have them, but it takes a lot of courage for you to share this intimate part. And it's very difficult for me because I'm a very private person. But I have found it's the most effective way to try to generate a conversation. Like even when I have a problem with even when I'm trying to explain topics that may be very esoteric or quite difficult, concept of either community existence or community living, or concept of economy, concepts of giving and receiving, concepts that are complex. If I can share my personal experience and I can illustrate it by that experience, and then you're all grown, you can infer into it whatever you want to infer. I just have to share that experience to make you understand that when I was facing XYZ, here is my story and here is my resolution. What is it that Master Jesus used to teach by parable? By telling these stories to little children? So, I'm not talking about little children, I'm talking about my personal struggles, my life. But that vulnerability, that exposure, we are trained by society to hide. We're trained by culture to think that vulnerability is a weakness. No one wants to see it. We have to hide it, and we have to be very afraid that no one should know this. I actually teach by that example. I teach by that vulnerability. I teach by that struggle, and I'm able to, I think, more effectively make people understand and mature faster. Because if they understand that, for my teacher, Dr. Joshua Livingstone, that was the thing that attracted me to him. High level spirituality. The stuff he was channeling and coming in with was just incredible. Yet he was so accessible and so human. Yeah, all the problem that he was having in personal relationships. So he was candid with all of that information. Mm. And this made me connect to him. And I kept saying, if he's that high and he has had struggled through all of this, I have a chance. Mm-hmm. I can make it too. Mm-hmm. You see? So if I'm gonna lead a group, if I cannot be vulnerable myself and tell people my frustration and my struggles, then they will never initiate a true conversation about their own vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So I have to expose those parts of me that may feel a bit raw and sensitive. And in doing so, I will help initiate a different type of conversation. So it's a work in progress for all of us. In community building is complex. To allow things to organically grow is the right way to go. But often I find personally, even when I have difficult conversation, even on a one-to-one with people in my team or in my group, I never accuse anybody of anything. I start by saying XYZ happened and it made me feel this way. I don't never start by saying you are blah, 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 and you are, you're not doing your part. This is not an effective way to actually motivate them to change. Mm-hmm. What I do is that I talk about me. When XYZ happened and it did not occur, blah, 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 this is what it made me feel. And I proceed from there. I always go back to me.
And that's very consistent with nonviolent communication, eye language, and using descriptive words about your feelings. And, and then the next step, of course, is trying to understand where the other person is coming from. But you have to be honestly invested in understanding, even though on some level, it's almost human nature you've assessed some kind of a motive, and you're setting that aside because you're a bigger person than that, but you got that. But you really have to open your heart to understanding where that person's coming from. And I think once you can do that, if you've already set the tone for the relationship, and like you said, vulnerability, I think, makes us relatable to each other. And that's got to be a two-way street. It's not enough for you to say, well, here's what I've overcome and whatnot, but you have to also then return the favor, I guess, and try to be open to hearing where that person is coming from as well. But I mean, you're the master at this, Pierre. So you teach people how to do this.
I wanted to just add a word, Diane. You were saying just before you left for a moment something very interesting about a program that you were participating in, and I think at one point you were saying, I'll have to paraphrase here, but you were talking about being authentic within yourself while trying to resolve relationship concerns. Mm. And I think that struck me as being very significant, because you do want to honor everybody's emotional set point, what causes, what triggers them to say or do what they do. Mm. Yet at the same time, you don't want to deny yourself your own authentic nature, and maybe it's a relationship that can't go on unless you do change your authentic core. And I don't know, Pierre, it feels like it's very right for you to say, that neutrality, that position of neutrality, not to accuse and to allow people to express their own place of being. And yet at the same time, what struck me, Diane, when you were talking is that it is important as well to be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting.
Are you meaning boundaries, Janice? Is that what you're talking about? Really, is that you want to reach out and you want to be open, caring, and concerned about the other person, but
Right.
still, on some level, you have to maintain boundaries. We don't make ourselves into doormats just for the sake of understanding the other person. If their need is to wipe their feet off on me, then I might have to take my toys and go home. Right?
I think that's very well said.
I agree with that sentiment.
You know, the interesting thing about it as well is that you may end up having in your team attract somebody with a lot of talent that ends up having, like you were saying, who is not willing to go halfway. Because the only way that we can learn that interdependence and we can communicate effectively is that if the other party, if you're presenting yourself vulnerable and open, and they are not willing to go there, or they are definitely resistant, if not combative. You know, the fascinating thing is that in the first session of our class on emotional intelligence, there were two videos. One was about the Rwanda and the struggle, the genocide that happened several years ago. Mm. The Hutu and the Tutsi. And we watched the video where a conflict resolution, what they call a reconciliation, was generated between by church bodies to try to reconcile the people in Rwanda, the two tribes that were destroying and hurting each other. So I have to tell you that that video to me is one of the most powerful that exists on the internet in terms of resolving conflict. Mm. Because you have an ethnic group that decimated another one by the tune of millions. Okay, the camera panned through churches where the whole floor was littered with people, dead. Mm. And they killed violently, either through bullets or they were chopped with machetes. Okay? And all of it, they're all on the floor. And there's a scene in that video that's so powerful that there is a woman, she's missing her right arm. Okay? She has a giant gash in her skull. And she's working around this man. And it turns out that this man was the very man who chopped her arm off and that killed her entire family. I don't know if I have it in my heart to be sitting next to somebody like this. Mm-hmm. I'll be very honest with you. I've been teaching and trying to learn neutrality now. Every week we have the class on neutrality for the past 24 months. I don't think I have it in me to be able to do this. I think this woman is a super emotionally intelligent being. Mm. Because I don't think I have it in my heart to be able, that kind and that forgiving. The guy who was the perpetrator was, of course, from the opposite tribe, but they live in the same village. So the guy had gone to jail for 8 years, and the guilt was killing him. And when what is right by what the government of Rwanda did is that they started a conversation about reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And they asked everybody to come to the table to talk. And it wasn't enough for all of them to talk, but they also asked everybody to now do projects together. Because what is that old saying that says, love me and live with me are two different things. That it's one thing for you to say, I am invested, I forgive you, and blah, blah, blah. But for you to work with somebody like this that was responsible for all of the damage, not only the disappearance of everyone, but more importantly, disfigurement that you have on your body. I have to tell you, that woman is a saint. Come to canonize her, because I would pray to her. Okay? So what I'm learning from all of this is that as a leader of a group that tries to teach people to communicate with each other, care for each other, to love each other, and to be to see the group vision, okay, and to try to diffuse any potential conflict that may exist, I have a lot to learn. I have a whole lot to learn.
But you haven't been tested to that degree either, Pierre. So you really don't know. You really don't know, right?
Very true. Very true. Maybe I would find the compassion inside of me to actually say, I forgive you to that man. But as it stands right now, I am not at a level.
But that's because your empathy for the woman who lost her arm is so strong. If you can't, I see how you would. There's a lot of interference on the line. Does anybody?
Shweta, could you mute yourself?
Sorry, I live near an airport.
Thank you. Thank you. That's better. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Diane. I'm sorry. Yes. So for me, the stuff that I'm noticing is that that video for me is still, every time I watch it, I got chills.
Mm-hmm.
I got chills. I was like, I want to be her when I grow up, because her level of growth, of emotional growth and empathy is just beyond belief.
Yeah.
Okay, to be able to sit next to this man in complete, like, you know, and they are working in projects together. Literally, they're like neighbors. I'm blown away. But since we're all a work in progress, I think in group work, in general, we have to figure out a way to hear the other side. But it is only if the other side wants to meet us halfway. The thing that happened in Rwanda is that a lot of these people who committed the atrocities were guilt-ridden, and they were seeking forgiveness. Okay? So both sides met somewhere in the middle.
So do you think that Monsanto is guilt-ridden? Do you think the cabal is guilt-ridden? You know, and I say that rhetorically, but at the same time, you know, I've wondered if some of the work that we do with Ho'oponopono and other methods, you know, we shouldn't be perhaps directing that at those entities, that those nameless, faceless, anonymous, quote, evil, right, entities, because how can we heal ourselves if we can't heal our relationships with them? But then there are other people who say, no, they deserve to die. And
I think I'm from a spiritual standpoint, I think all of us are redeemable. Even Monsanto, even the cabal. I think I not to get too spiritual and too spooky, but because the Gaiaville group is kind of different, although some spiritual principle unfold. When I've shared the story in my book, and I'm going to reiterate it here. I had a situation in which this man who came to my classes from a lecture I presented, a public lecture, started studying with me. After 2 months, we have a private session. And he said to me during the private session, I serve, and then he gave me the name of a fallen angel. Okay? Now I'm teaching neutrality, right? So I freaked out in the inside. I didn't let him see it. I panicked, okay? Didn't let him see anything. I was very completely like unfazed. Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as he walked out, I locked the door. I burned sage. I'm like, shit's like bad energy out. and then immediately I went into meditation and I asked my guide, what do I do? And I heard laughter. And then my guide said to me, what did you think that neutrality was? That only the light was going to come to you? And then they said to me, this man is not just serving this fallen being. He's actually an incarnated aspect of this being that is seeking neutrality because it is battle fatigued. That was a shock to me. And I said, so what do I do? And they said, teach him everything.
Carl, can you stir that?
Teach him everything and love him unconditionally. Now, what actually I discovered, the reason he came to me was because in past lives, I battled this being. So I had karma with them. Okay? And now that I was teaching this concept of neutrality, it was actually trying to, because it was also battle fatigue, it was, so the joke in class was that for the period that this man was coming around, every time he was about to leave, he was trying to sneak away. I made it a point to give him a 3-minute hug where I pour my entire heart into him. Mm-hmm. And everyone would laugh because he was always trying to escape, because that made him feel uncomfortable. But I'm like, you're not leaving here unless I give you a hug. You're not walking out without me telling you how much I love you. So what I'm saying is that we all can be redeemed given the right circumstances, and more importantly, if we are all battle fatigued. Because the idea of you either being the top dog or the bottom dog, depending on where the pendulum is swinging, is exhausting. And at some point, over the eons, you evolve the awareness that there is no exit strategy. And it is at that point, and only if you get to that point, are you ready to accept conflict resolution. Okay? So what I'm saying is that we should all, as we move about doing group work, as we try and attempt to achieve a certain level of harmony in the environment, hold space for the fact that other people may not be at your level. Moreover, even if they are not, if they are willing, like in this case, this man came and he knew I was teaching neutrality. So there was a part of him on a higher level that was seeking this. I remember the last few sessions that we did together, he kept saying to me, I am tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of fighting. And I don't think he fully, because I knew him as a personality on earth was saying this, but it was the being through him that was saying this. Mm-hmm. The entire collective that was saying this to me. And so I understood that, and I tried to support it in the best way possible. And how did I do it? Every time I thought about him, I was saying the Ho'oponopono to him nonstop. Mm-hmm. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Over and over. And I was saying it to all aspects of himself, to all the time that I battled him in the past, to all, over and over and over and over again, so that I could be neutral. There is not one client that makes an appointment with me that I don't spend at least 15 minutes to an hour of saying Ho'oponopono before they come. Because if they are coming to me for healing, at some point in the past, I may have been responsible for them to be sick. And if that is the case, I need to be neutral before they arrive because I can't help them otherwise. Mm-hmm. In fact, I may be toxic to them and I may cause them harm. So I have to make sure that I'm neutral. So at least 15 minutes of that. And when I'm not neutral, I know because my mind begins to, all I'm doing is I'm holding space. You know, I have a giant column of light, I'm being neutral. But if I begin to drift off and I'm judging them, I can't believe this being is doing blah, blah, blah. They are so unevolved. If that is happening in my head, that's the conversation, I'm not neutral. Mm-hmm. If I'm judging, I'm not neutral. So I need to become neutral. And at that moment, I'm repeating the Ho'oponopono like the rosary, nonstop, like a mantra, over and over and over, so that I can come to a space where I can allow them to be who they are, where they are. Remember, like I said before, not everybody is as fast as we are. And so wherever they are, I have to be able to meet them. Anyhow, that's my little spiel for today. Sweater Love, how are you?
She's muted.
Oh yeah, she's going to unmute.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late. I had another commitment, so I joined whenever I could.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Happy to see you. Happy to have you.
Yes, likewise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We were just having conversation about group work and the difficulty of trying to generate and motivate people. And what are different techniques that people use to try to motivate people in the group to have the same level of enthusiasm as we do, of commitment and wanting to change things, and how people can be at different level and therefore cause us to feel what's the word, frustrated, and how do we share our frustration in a healthy way without sounding negative, without sabotaging the group, because a lot of time, you know, if you say the wrong thing, people get all puffed up, and I share with Diane, and Janice knows this because she was there in a few of those things where full blown out fights. This is what humanity, this is what we are about, you know. Somebody feels a certain way and things just blow up. And I have to sit at the table, and if I'm there, and try to figure out a way to diffuse it and to, you know, make sure everybody is calm and let's resolve this in a different way. Let's have a different conversation. And a lot of it, I think, is, again, this is why I'm teaching the class on emotional intelligence, is that if you're emotionally intelligent enough, you will know what to say, because you are able to read what need. If the person is exploding, is because they have a need that's not being met. Okay? You have to figure out what that need is. Mm-hmm. And the person who is responding has also a need that's not being met. Mm-hmm. And if you can talk about those two needs and see if we can find a middle ground, your conflict may be able to resolve.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of dynamic that often I found to be, you know, again, this is why I keep saying Ho'oponopono all the time, because when I do it, it takes me into a center. It took me to a place where my heart is very wide and very open, and I'm not judging. I'm just observing. Mm-hmm. And if I'm observing and I'm not judging, I don't have preconceived notion, I can hear more. In the class on emotional intelligence, the last month, we talk a lot about the difference between hearing and listening. That we all hear, but that a very few people actually listen. Mm-hmm. And what are the skill set that are involved when you're listening? Mm-hmm. When you're really hearing what the other person is really saying. What kind of level of empathy do you need to have to allow someone else's voice to enter you? Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I often feel that I am and the times that I'm not, as I say, I know, because I have my head begin to float, or I begin to think about food, about something else. I need to go grocery shopping, blah blah blah, and I'm having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, okay, I am not in the conversation. I'm not listening. I'm hearing what they're saying, but I'm not listening.
Right.
Because if I'm thinking about something like this, I'm not paying attention 100% to what they're doing. If there's any other distraction, internal or external, I am not paying attention. So I have to spend more time paying attention to what they're saying so that I can serve them better. I can give them better. I can respond to them better. So if we can all come at that space, it creates a more powerful way for us to communicate. And moreover, as I said, people only really learn by your example. Like children, very few people actually learn by what you say. They simply will mirror what you do, what they see in the environment. So if I'm not mirroring the right, if I'm being inauthentic, okay? And I'm not saying I'm always there. As I said, I'm the first person to admit my own vulnerable point. There are moments where, as I said, I'm either judging people, I can't believe they're at that level, blah, blah, blah. Or I'm thinking about food shopping, okay? I wonder if I have any butter in the refrigerator. I'm going to make a cake, and my head goes somewhere else. If I'm doing this, I'm not paying attention. And I have to find a way to get to the center. And I found saying this mantra quickly get me into my center. And it calms me down, and I'm able to completely surrender into listening, really listening. I keep saying all the time that my true gift is that I have holographic listening. That when I listen and I'm in that space, I perceive a lot of time when somebody's conversing, there are little vignettes of images that pop into my consciousness. And it feels to me sometimes information that the person who is speaking is hiding to themselves. So it allows me to have an incredible amount of empathy. Sometimes too much. I had posted on my Facebook that someone had put a video in there that was it's not somebody I know. He was friend with somebody else and he friended me. And I hesitated multiple times before I accepted, several days before I accepted his friend request. And finally I accepted it, but he posted some stuff that was so violent toward and demeaning toward women. But I was like, I can't have, these videos on Facebook now. Facebook is different now. The moment you scroll down, the video starts. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this. I am an empath. I feel everything. And if I'm watching this, he's whatever he put that's scrolling down on my wall is actually affecting me. And I just unfriend him. And so I choose, because of that gift, I choose very fair, I cure what I watch and what I expose myself to. Because it can cause me sometimes not to be able to sleep at night. Because I take that stuff in. Although I have boundaries. I have very good boundaries. But there is no necessity. I can't watch a Freddy Krueger movie and be able to sleep. I can't do it. Because it agitates me to no end, and I spend the whole night in complete turmoil. So, and I know this because my level of intuitiveness is highly evolved. So knowing this, I know what I can do and what I cannot do. If you have an aptitude for art or whatever it is, I have an ability. It's a very strong and highly evolved ability, and so I deal with it from that standpoint. Anybody else want to share anything? I want to show you some quick pictures of the house upstate. Unless,
Pierre, if I may, I found a link, or I found a center that's starting up in New York that's doing what Gaiaville Health and Wellness Center is looking to do. And I just wanted to toss the URL out.
Yep.
If people are interested to check it out. It's tournesolwellness.com.
Put it on the chat. You know that the chat?
No, Claire.
So that we all can see it.
Oh, that's okay. I see it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's really sweet.
You know her? Yeah. Okay.
Do you see it?
Oh,
Send to everyone, it says. Everyone.
Base has really nice energy in it. They're struggling, kind of like a lot of centers, I feel, in the city with. It's that kind of balance of like she has to pay the bills and, you know, her rental costs are higher, so no one like, it's just crazy. It's a really nice space. But her programmings, they're trying to do more integrative stuff, right? Like her programs are trying to do more, I don't know if like what we're trying to do is a bit more, I feel like, community building, also focused, and hers is like she has a roster of all these like practitioners, but I don't know how long, like how much they're working together or building even internally, right? In this way. But it's a nice space. I mean, I met with her earlier this year. I don't know, there's a lot other stuff. She wanted me to do some Ayurvedic doula or women's health stuff, but I don't know how things have evolved on her end. I think she's just been so busy trying to pay the bills.
yeah, no, that part is very real.
It is real. It's just that I always get tripped up because there's so many centers with the same struggles, but then how are we all trying to like work together? Everyone's trying to build resources for the same things, you know, and it's kind of like, wait a minute. Kind of everyone can do some exchanges or I don't know, something. I don't know. It just feels like the level of collaboration is so superficial, and it could be so much deeper and more supportive of each other in different ways. So,
I agree.
I don't know.
You and I need to have enough conversation about this because I still want to talk to you or give you a sense of the Gaiaville and Founders meeting that occurred.
I got your text. I was just trying to anchor my
the schedule
calendar down so then I can give you some current dates this week.
Okay, terrific. Just let me know, okay? I want to share very quickly 2 pictures of progress that happened. Where is it? Okay. Do you see it?
No?
Not yet? Okay, hold on.
Oh, yes. Go.
I'm sorry, hold on a second. I'm gonna go back to it. I got kicked out. You see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the dormer has been created. The last time we looked, that piece that's with the blue paper was not there.
Mm.
So the attic level has been built and the dormer has been created. So now originally, and there's a room up front here and there's a room in the back. Originally, my idea was that this dormer was going to be the bathroom. Now that it's created, the inside, it's the most phenomenal thing in the world. So now this is a bedroom and the bathroom is going to be up front. On that level. There's another picture of it in the front, which is like this. So, and all of this is facing north. The southern side, which is the other side, next year, not now because I don't have the budget for it, That's a different conversation. We will put the solar panel on that side. Greenhouse will be attached on the first floor here, okay? And then what's going to happen this week is that all the windows are going to be installed, hopefully by the time I arrive there on Friday. And we're going to start insulating, and we're working on the heating system. That way the house, right now there is no heat at all in the house. And we're in the process of including, putting the air source heat pump, which is the heating system that I wanted. Originally, there was a conversation about putting another, because I don't have the money really to do this, because it's so expensive to buy the original machine. But if I buy a $5,000 boiler and put that in, and in a year or a year and a half from now to toss that boiler out to put a $15,000 equipment makes no sense. Okay? There is a gap of $11,000. I have to figure out a way to generate that income to do it once and do it right. Because the walls will be closed. I'm going to have to chop up everything again. It makes no sense for all of the various reasons. So that's the conversation we had at the last Gaiaville founders meeting, on how to generate that kind of income and how to figure out a way to support while all the walls are open, do it and do it right. I know for sure I don't have the money right now to do the solar panel, nor do I have the money for sure to do the greenhouse. Other phases, right? But as far as the walls that are open right now, I might as well do everything that's needed so that when the walls are closed, a year from now, I don't have to donate the gas boiler out to somebody else because I have a different system. It makes no sense.
Right.
So those are the things that we had conversed about, and these are the latest pictures that I wanted to share with you. So, any comments or any other question? I'm going to stop sharing this from everyone because we're past our time. I want to give everybody an opportunity to have their dinner and do all the other things that they need to do. I am thinking right now, circulating a date of, we are now the 25th. Is the 27th, when is Thanksgiving? I'm trying to see if we can settle on a date for the next meeting.
Thanksgiving is Thursday, 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 26th. Okay. Can we do a meeting on the 22nd? Sunday the 22nd?
Sunday, yes.
That should work for me. Mm-hmm.
Yes, me too.
Okay. Let's tentatively put that down. Okay. All right. I will advertise it well enough in advance so that we can have more people. Now we have set up on a date, we'll have more people. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. I'm planning Dr. Sumit's retreat probably for the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, is the space going to be done by May or June?
Yes. Yes. The idea is that this is why I want to heat everything and enclose, because the interior work can continue during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm, yes.
All right. So we'll see. Let's see how everything falls in place or not, but just want to check in.
Yes, yes. And also, yeah, and my hope is that I can generate, the idea is that the moment the house is enclosed, I can do, I can finish the tiling, do the floor, the sheetrock, the painting, all of that can happen while the house is still being heated. And the contractors will be more than happy, because the problem I'm having right now is that these contractors, because they can only work during the tree season, they overbook themselves. My carpenter was away for 1 month. In 1 month, I did one dormer. He came in and just did this for a few days, and then he went to another job. But I don't have a choice. You know, it's not like they come a dime a dozen and I can call somebody else. I don't have a choice. So I have to wait. And the idea now is that we enclosed during the winter, they don't have work, they can work in the interior. Okay?
Good.
All right, everyone. A couple of things I'm going to try to do differently. This is regarding growth for all of us, or for me anyway. I want to give people more time for them to sign up for the meeting. I want you to invite your friends and your community to this conversation because I think it's a good thing. Moreover, I want to be able to circulate ahead of time. I would love for Jana, if she can, next time to be able to speak in the meeting. And I want to be able to give people ahead of time what the conversation of the topic will be so that we have a theme. I want to organize it in a much better fashion. Right now, we're just allowing free flow, but we need to organize it so that we can advertise it better and we can make people realize that there is value to us meeting online. Okay?
I think that if Jana was on the agenda, that would encourage a lot of people in my tribe to come on the call, because then they would have a greater sense of the collaborative piece between Gaiaville and what's going on in Melbourne, Florida. You know what I'm saying? And so that would be awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And I'm trying to organize a whole bunch of other stuff in the back end to make sure that when I'm circulating email and all that stuff, that everything is done in the proper way. And moreover, that follow-up email, because a lot of time I'm so busy, I don't respond right away and I feel really bad. There is a way to create autoresponders. And I'm learning. I have people on my team that can advise me on how to do this. I'm learning how to do this. All right, everyone. I don't want to keep you all any further. Lots of love, everyone. Thank you for being on the call. Kisses, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Pierre.
You guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.